Okay, this is Closet Talk. Closet Talk is different from Closet Talk Uncrosses the Church's Legs. If you are here, you are a part of the private group Closet Talk. Closet Talk Uncrosses the Church's Legs is my regular Facebook page. The biggest difference is in this group there is only women. So though what I say could apply to men and women, I am generally talking to women. And the music that you hear in the background, I do own the rights to, so I don't have to do the disclosure. I am going to tag some folks. I'm going to tag some folks. Where y'all at? Where y'all at? Where y'all at? I'm going to tag some people. Come in, come in, come in, come in. It's not going to be real quick. It's going to go a little slower than normal because I really want to tag some people. And it is not showing me how to tag folks. Okay. Let's see. Why is it giving me this hard time? I don't need this pressure. I don't need this pressure. Why am I having this pressure? I don't like that. Okay. We're trying to tag people. All right. I'm tagging people. I am tagging people. Please, people, if you can come in, please come in because honestly, this is going to be good. This is going to be real good for any person who has ever dated or is considering dating or is married to someone who has spent time in the penitentiary. You are going to want to hear what I am going to say to you. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. Let's see. I'm giving time. Please don't disconnect if you're here. Just stay just a little while because if you stay, you're going to be blessed. I promise you. You're going to be blessed. Today in Closet Talk, we're talking about steps that you should take if you are dating someone or married to someone who is in the penitentiary or who has been to the penitentiary. This is very important. I'm coming to you as someone who has been married to someone who was, in fact, incarcerated, who spent many years in prison. And what I want to say to you is important. If you're interested in your marriage or your relationship working, this is very important to you because you know, as Black folks, period, we have a real problem with getting any kind of counseling. We have a problem with that. So please, I'm telling you, this is important. This is important to us. This is important to us as women because we tend to care more also as men, and we tend to reach out more and try to make things work more. We're fixers. So as fixers, we tend to want to make things work. And so I want to talk to you because there is a way to save your relationship. There is a way to save your marriage, even if that person is incarcerated or may have been incarcerated. Now, what I'm telling you, first I have to do my little disclosure. I am not a licensed professional. However, I am someone who was married to someone who was incarcerated. And based on that alone, there's some missteps that we took. And I can maybe help you to not take those missteps and maybe help you to save your relationship. And the music you hear playing in the background, I do not have to do the disclosure to it because I do own the rights to this music. Yes, I wrote the music that you're going to hear playing throughout this session. Okay? So, I was married to someone who did complete a stint in the penitentiary. And so with that, I want to tell you guys, we have this stigma with not getting counseling. That is the worst decision that you can make. Anytime someone completes a prison sentence, they need counseling in order to properly get back into the swing of things of society, because they won't be able to do it no matter how much they think they can, no matter how much they think they're okay. It is not true. They need help. They need help to get acclimated back into society. Hey, sweetie, please share this. Please tell people to watch it. I promise you, this is a good thing that I'm about to talk about, because a lot of Black and Hispanic, any kind of color relationships fail because of someone being in prison or going to prison and then coming home and not knowing how to get reacclimated with society. And a part of that is they need counseling. As much as we as women would love to believe that we can fix these men and we can fix everything, we cannot. There are things that they faced in prison that they will never talk to us about. They will never be open to us about. And if we don't get them help, we are setting our relationships up to fail. And it is not fair that a relationship fails only because a person been incarcerated. It's not fair. Get the proper help. Tell that person to get the proper help. Tell someone that they trust in, because a lot of times men won't listen to their women. They won't believe what their women have to say. So get someone that you know that they are close to. I don't know how to make it public. To make it public, I have to actually do it on my regular page. But I'm going to share it in my YouTube page, so you'll be able to share it then. We have to. These men, they have to get the proper help, because I promise you, they will never be able to get acclimated into society again if they don't get the proper help. And a lot of relationships will fail. And I come to you, I promise, I come to you not as a professional, but as someone who has lived through it, someone who has had to go through it. I told you guys, over these next couple of sessions, I am going to be talking about my relationship and a part of how my relationship failed. I was married for 30 years. For 30 years. He did a 6-year prison sentence. And here's what I could tell you from the bottom of my heart. The man that I married that went into prison is not the man that came out of prison. It's not the same man. And because it wasn't the same man, and because he didn't get help, we failed. We failed. Because he didn't get help, and because he was not the same man that I married when he went into prison. That man that goes into prison is not the person that comes out of prison. They have to get acclimated to a whole different kind of living, a whole different world, something that they may have never been exposed to before in their life. And because of that, they no longer know how to treat you how they should treat you. They no longer know how to love themselves properly. So therefore, they can't love you properly. I'm telling you this from a place of pain, but from a place of growth. I grew because of it, but it cost me and it hurt me dearly. It hurt me dearly. I have been with my husband since I was 13 years old. No one in this world could have ever made me believe that that wouldn't work. You understand? That there would be anything that could break us, okay? You could not make me believe that we could be broken. When I tell you we were above Bonnie and Clyde, we were going to make it work, and we were going to make it happen. But prison broke us because he did not get the proper help that he needed to get reacclimated into society. So I'm telling you now, if you're in a relationship with someone who is either incarcerated or been incarcerated, they need professional help. We cannot help them. We cannot help them. As much as we like to be fixers, as much as we think we got this, right? As many times as we as women are able to pull things together and make things work, I'm telling you now, you will fail. You will fail. You know why you will fail? Because you don't have the tools that this man is willing to accept. Okay? He doesn't want to listen to you Because most men believe that they're the head, and if they're the head, how can you as the woman tell them what needs to be done to make the relationship work? You need to find someone that they trust in. And that person, you need to get that person to get them to believe, okay, that this is something that they need to do. I know there is a stigma in the Black community when it comes to getting counseling. I know there is a stigma, but I'm telling you, if you want your relationship to work, if you want your marriage to work, invest in getting professional counseling, because if you don't, more than likely your relationship will fail. And when your relationship fails, it will be because that person did not have the proper tools to get reacclimated with society. I will say it again. When they go to prison, they have to become a whole different person. So the person you married or the person you got into a relationship is not the person that comes out of prison, because they had to totally change in order to survive in prison. Okay? A lot of times the person we marry and the person that we get into a relationship with are softer, sweeter, nicer, more understanding people, right? That is impossible to be in prison. They could possibly lose their lives in prison for being what we as women need them to be in a relationship, right? So they have to become a whole different person. However, that person that they become in prison is an impossible person for us as women to live with, to have a relationship with, to build with. They become impossible, right? And so the best way we could get them even close to or a better version of what went into prison is for them to seek professional help. I'm telling you, we have to do it. And I can only tell you this because I lived it. I lived it. When Stacy came home from prison, I said, okay, I know he's not the same. He's not the man that I married when he went to prison. So I'm going to give him 2 years. I'm going to give him 2 years, right? To get his bearings about himself, right? To find himself, to come back around to the person that went into prison, right? And when 2 years failed, I said, I'm going to give him 5 years, right? And it kept failing. And part of why it kept failing is never once did he seek professional help. And never once did I push him to seek professional help, or did I seek someone that he trusted, that he had a rapport with, to speak to him and convince him that he needed professional help. Now, on the other side of that is, though we want to tell them that they need professional help, we need men on the other side of us saying, yeah, bro, you need this. Yeah, man, you should do this. If you love this woman, if you love your family, this is something that you really should do. If you want this relationship to work, if you want this marriage to work, this is something that you really should do. Because as long as we keep going along, I have sewed so many patches trying to keep this relationship together, trying to make this thing work. I sewn so many patches, and unfortunately, I was unsuccessful. And part of the reason why I was unsuccessful is because there was nobody who was a professional in the matter helping us out, right? So we were basically scratching and surviving, trying to figure this thing out on our own. We were doing everything we can and within our ability to make our relationship work. But since we didn't have the proper tools, it was impossible, right? He had become so hardened that he couldn't be soft enough to do and to give me what I needed, right? And I had become so frustrated that I could no longer take what I felt like was excuses, right? And so here's what I know for a fact. In any relationship, as long as one person is holding on to make the relationship last, there's a possibility, right? Be it you or be it him, be it you or be it her, however it is. As long as one person is holding on, there's a possible chance for this relationship to make it. But the moment both people let go, there's nothing there. And that's exactly what happened. That's after years and years and years of either him holding on or me holding on, it got to a point where we both let go. And once we both let go, there was no one fighting for the relationship. And once there was no one fighting for the relationship, it was absolutely impossible for the relationship to last. Because it seems like at the same time, we both threw our hands in the air and was like, enough is enough. And so then once that happened, we started to learn how to live without one another, right? And once you start to learn, the worst thing you can do in a relationship is not talk to one another, right? Because when you don't talk to one another and when you don't do things for one another, there's no communication. The two of you learn how to live without one another. And once you learn how to live without one another, you are looking for the next best thing. And now your relationship is in this place where it's impossible for it to survive. So I'm telling you this because I want you, if you love this person and if you want this relationship to last, I want you to be able to say, I did everything that I could, right? Before it was no longer able to survive, before it was no longer able for us to continue, right? I don't want you to be in a relationship and look back and have regrets. And regrets come from feeling like you didn't do everything you could do. I want you to do everything that you can do so that if your relationship happens to fail, you know that you gave it 100%. I've said it before. A lot of people have this misconception that a relationship is 50-50. That's the biggest lie that has ever been told. A relationship is not 50-50. A relationship is 100-100. If I'm giving 100 and he's giving 100, long as I'm giving 100 and my mate is giving 100, there is no way our relationship should fail. A lot of relationships fail because they're 50-50. Do not give your relationship half of you. If you really want to see your relationship last, give it 100%. All the time. All the time. Give your relationship 100%. Do not change who you are to match somebody else's vibration. Keep your vibration. Keep your vibration to what you want your relationship to be. Keep your vibration to how you want someone to treat you, right? Never lower your vibration based on somebody else's action or reaction. Because then you open yourself up to not get fully what you deserve. You begin to settle. You begin to settle when you do that. And I don't want you to settle. If I could, I would that every person that get married, that they only get married once. And not only that they only get married once, but that one marriage is that everlasting marriage. Not that marriage, because as a person who's been in and out of many different churches, a lot of churches will have you saving a marriage that is really unsavable. I don't want you to be unhappy. I don't want you to be miserable. I want you to have a relationship and a marriage that lasts based on not only happiness, but joy, right? Because happiness is predicated upon someone else. So not only happiness, but joy. Joy comes from down in the inside. It's a foundation for which happiness can be built on, right? So I want you to not only find joy, I want you to find happiness. So I want you to be in a relationship where there is nothing that you can't discuss with that person. I want you to be in a relationship where even when you feel incomplete, right, that person completes you. I want you to be in a relationship that when you feel down on yourself and when you don't feel like enough, that person is the person that lets you know, that reassures you that not only are you enough, you are more than enough, right? And back to how we started this whole conversation, sometimes when a person goes to prison, they have to lose themselves. They have to lose who they have always been in society. Because see, that won't cut it. That won't cut it. If they stay who they are in society, they could be deemed as soft, right? And being soft in the penitentiary can cost you your life. It can cost you your virginity, right? We all know this. I hope we understand that people don't go to prison and get reformed. A lot of people go to prison and become better criminals. Most of the people I know that's been to prison, there was nothing about being reformed that happened to them in prison. One or two things happened. They were so scared that they would never go back, still not reforming them, or they became better criminals. I know very, very, very few people who went to prison and came out reformed. So we can't have that expectation of prison. We still need people to come home from prison and have some kind of support system and have some kind of professional help, especially those who would really like to get reacclimated with society. For myself, I know when Stacy went to prison, cell phones were a thing that really only people of certain means had. You were either doctors, lawyers, judges, or drug dealers, honestly, that had cell phones. But by the time he came home, everybody had cell phones. That was like an amazing, shocking thing to him. He didn't understand, like, how everybody have cell phones. Like, when did this happen? See, those are things that help you get reacclimated. As simple as that seems, it is something that helps you get reacclimated into society, right? When you go to prison, as much as you would like to believe time is going because you're waiting and counting the days to get out, really time is standing still for you, because the things that is going on in prison and the way you're living in prison is not the way things are happening in society. So society tends to move on, right? While those in prison stay stuck in the time for which they were incarcerated. So when they come home, it's a totally different world. It's a whole new world, a whole new thing. And a lot of them don't know what to do. A lot of them don't know how to behave. A lot of them don't know how to act. Where they had to scratch and survive in prison for certain things, that's not so in society. So therefore, they have no clue how to behave and how to react. And a good way for them to learn that is through professional counseling. I'm serious. It means a lot. I can truly say to you, if you had told me 20 years ago that Stacy and I would ever not be together, I would tell you you were a damn fool. I would tell you that that is impossible. I would tell you that he is my life and I can't see my life without him. Have you lost your mind? He's the Bonnie to my Clyde. And it's just not, I'm sorry, he's the Clyde to my Bonnie. And it's just not possible, right? This is what I would have told you, right? You see, I didn't have the ability to see him going to prison. And the person that I said I do to, going into prison and having to become a totally different person to deal with prison life. So therefore not being the same person coming out, and then not having any guide, any help to get back to that person or a better version of that person. So we both changed, right? We both changed because I had to grow also, because I was truly a teenager when Stacy went to prison. So that left me having to become a full-grown adult with 3 children. I had to grow up. Prior to that, Stacy had always been the provider. He had always been a provider. I would provide some things, but he had always been the constant provider, right? So when he went to prison, I became not just mom. I became the provider. I became, when things weren't going right, the person that the kids looked to. So I also grew. And the person that I grew into became a person who became independent, right? Where prior to, I was dependent on my husband. And my husband was fully in the lead. And what he said was how the family was going to move. But remember, I told you he did 6 years in prison. So for those 6 years, I was that person, right? So my struggle became, how do I relinquish the power that I gained when he went to prison? So you see how we both needed counseling? As much as he needed counseling, I needed counseling too, because I needed to have the ability to no longer be in shock, because my whole world had went into shock, right? I went into being that secondary person to being primary. I was no longer in the background. I was no longer secondary. I was now primary. I was the person who the kids were counting on. I was the person who I was counting on. I was the person who even he was counting on. So where my role had been maybe downplayed prior to this situation, now my role became the primary role. And then once I got into the swing of my role being the primary role, when he came home, I had to learn how to take the back seat again, right? I had to learn how to become secondary again. And if you're honest with yourself, you will truly say it is very hard to become secondary when you've been primary for so long. It's very hard to become secondary even when maybe financially you feel you are primary, but you are the rib, right? That's really hard to do. And then it's also hard for him. Stacy was a man's man. Okay, so when it comes to, when you have a man's man, that's really hard, because a man's man believes that they are the one who is responsible financially for their family. They are the one who believe that they are the protectors of their family. So when they lose that, it becomes really hard for them to exist, for them to comprehend what is going on. So I'm saying all this to you to say, if that relationship that you have with a person who has been incarcerated or who is incarcerated, if it means anything to you, if it's worth anything to you, make the investment of seeking professional counseling. It can possibly save your relationship. It really can. And a lot of heartache. A lot of heartache. It is very hard to pick up the pieces from a 30-year relationship. It is very hard to untwine a 30-year relationship. That is no easy task. And I would that no one would have to face something like that for something as simple as maybe having counseling, right? That's a simple task. That's something that's really simple. And if you have health insurance, it's even simpler because it's probably going to cost you $5 to $40 a session, right? So make that investment. And especially if you have children, that's a whole nother episode. We're gonna keep doing this because my whole thing is just to break down these last 10 years and what they've meant to me, what I've gone through, and if maybe I could save one relationship, one person from going through this, I would feel that I accomplished something, right? I really would. I would feel that I accomplished something. On the next episode, more than likely, I'm going to go into detail about how this affects your children. If you have children and you're in this pickle of being in a relationship with someone who has either been in prison or who is in prison, that also wreaks havoc on your children. And it affects each child differently. I had 3 children when Stacy went to prison. 3. And all 3 of them had a different experience. All 3 of them were affected differently. And that could be detrimental to our children. One of our children even ended up being arrested and going to juvenile hall because they didn't know how to deal with what had happened to them. They didn't know how to deal with the anger they felt, the abandonment that they felt. We have got to get our children and our men and even ourselves counseling. I promise you, a prison sentence in a family is like someone going to war, okay? One of the adults in the family going to war. It is a shock. It is a shock. And if it's not properly addressed, it could be detrimental. And so I want to talk to you. Because I don't want you to face the things that I faced. Right? I don't want you to have to go through what I went through, because a lot of things that I went through and I faced, if I had a blueprint, I would have done things differently. So hopefully I'm able to provide a blueprint so that you do not do the same things that I did. You do not fall into the same pitfalls that I fell into. And again, I have to say I'm no professional. Right? I'm no professional, even though I'm only 6 classes short from my master's in counseling. I'm still no professional. The only thing I have is life experience. I'm talking to you from life experience. And sometimes experience is the best teacher. So if my experience could help you not face what I faced, I would love that for you. I would love that, right? And again, as I said, the music we've listened to is my music. I wrote this music. This is my music. So if you liked it, just let me know. Maybe I can get you a copy, right? On the next episode, I'm not doing this particular piece of Closet Talk public, but if I can, I'm going to do some things on YouTube. So if I can get you a copy, I will. I still will be doing on my regular page, Monique Allen. I still will be doing Closet Talk Uncrosses the Church's Legs. It's 2 different things. It's 2 different segments. This is going to be more intimate, more in tune with my personal life as relationship and things like that, versus the Uncross the Church's Legs portion being more in tune to still my personal life, but my personal life as it lines up to church, religion, belief, things like that, okay? Continue to follow, continue to like, continue to share. If you want people to see this video that's maybe not a part of Closet Talk, that are female, because we only accept females in Closet Talk, invite them into the group. I will gladly accept them. Tell them which video to watch. I believe that if people get the gist of what I'm trying to say here and what I'm trying to do here, a lot of relationships can be saved. A lot of relationships for a couple of dollars. We spend more money on shoes, clothes, going out to eat, things like that. We blow more money than what I think counseling would cost to save relationships, right? I really do. So I think it's worth it. I think it's an investment worth making. I really do. I think it's an investment worth making, because I can't speak for anyone else, but for me, even though my relationship as marriage goes is over with Stacy, we're still friends. We still have children. We still have grandchildren, right? But there's just a certain part of building in my life that I will do that I won't do with him. And that hurts, because I never could have pictured my life like that. If you would have asked me 20, 30 years ago, even 11 years ago, I would have said, no way, it's impossible. I can't see my life, building my life without him right there next to me, building with me. And so if I could help you keep that in your relationship, I think it's worth it, okay? I love you guys. I'll see you next week. More than likely next week we'll be talking about how this affects the children, okay? All righty. Bye, guys. Love you.